Some of them, of course. This was typical of the sort of ridiculous rumours that had been circulating since they had arrived in France. He was surprised, though, at how readily people accepted them, officers and men alike, and it made him wonder whether he might have been wrong in placing so much faith in the army, and that new and unwelcome doubt filled him with dread. But it was not hard to see that their enemy had no such lack of confidence. There was distant booming somewhere quite far off over to the east. Lamb raised his head, and looking across the peaceful landscape in which a pale herd of cattle were grazing beside the arc of a river, scoured the horizon. But he could see nothing. They were still far away then, but still close enough at that, he thought. And somewhere out there, someone was taking a pounding, and 10 to 1 it wasn't the Boche. There was a rustling noise behind him, and Lamb turned to see his platoon sergeant, Jim Bennett, crouching above the trench. "Begging your pardon, Mr. Lamb, sir, but the lads were wondering if they could stand down for a few minutes and get a brew on. And one for you too, sir?" Lamb nodded. "Yes, sergeant, that should be fine." The booming noise came again. "Did you hear that? Sounds as if the Belgians are getting it badly. Still holding them, though. Reckon they'll manage much longer, sir?" Lamb smiled. He knew from the adjutant that the entire 3rd Division had been pulled back from the forward Belgian lines after some trivial dispute between their general and the Belgian commander, who reckoned his men better trained than the British army. It was madness, but the Belgians would rather fight on their own than submit to foreign command, so now it was only a matter of time. "Not really, son. Do you?" Bennett grinned. "They're brave enough, sir. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're not, but you saw them come past here yesterday, sir. Couldn't get away fast enough. I'll give you that what's left up there must be better than that shower, but if you want my opinion, Mr. Lamb, them Belgians couldn't hold back a platoon of Girl Guides, let alone Jerry." Lamb nodded. "My thoughts too, sergeant. We'd best stay alert. You'd better get that tea on, or they'll all want some." As if to qualify his words, Lamb retrieved his tin helmet from where it had been lying on the parapet and placed it on his head, pushing the strap tight beneath his chin. Bennett nodded and ran crouching back to his trench. Jim Bennett was the linchpin of Lamb's platoon, had been since the start. While Lamb knew that the men would not question his word, he also knew that they would take a command more readily from Bennett, knowing that he was one of them. Lamb was an officer, and as such came from another world, another country. It was what the men expected, but it made the sergeant's role absolutely vital. In fact, Lamb mused, he was not perhaps as much of a gentleman as his men might suspect. For the past hour he had been trying to compose a letter to his ex-wife, Julia, with little success. How did you write to someone to tell them that while you expected to be killed at any moment, you had never stopped loving them, despite being unfaithful? He had embarked on the affair in the year that Hitler had come to power. His life with Kate was nothing like his marriage, where society ball had succeeded house party as his social life had jostled for position with his promising career as a London lawyer. He'd met Julia at university, and they'd married in haste. But Kate he had known since boyhood, and the chance encounter had led to a torrid affair, which had put an end to his marriage. It was not sordid, not in the way that Julia had made out in court. Of course he'd not meant to betray his wife, but some uncontrollable urge had taken hold of him. Lamb prided himself on his ability to organize and control his feelings, just as he did his men, and this uncharacteristic slip troubled him. He understood now that it must have been love. But now he just wanted to get home, to get back to some sort of normality, and to the woman he wished he'd never betrayed. He wondered when it would be over, whether they had any chance now of driving the Germans back across the Belgian border. The latest reports had not been good. They had crossed from France 2 days ago, an expeditionary force of almost 250,000 British troops, plus all their cumbersome logistical support, sent to help the French as they had in 1914. When Lamb's